Lifespan Respite Washington is a statewide program. We are hosted by PAVE, located officially at PAVE. And we are the recipients of a federal grant that first comes to the state, and then we were contracted with the state to work this program. Lifespan Respite's job, its overall job, which our state partners do, is to try to coordinate and assemble all the resources for respite care within a state so that everybody is talking to one another. And we do that through our coalition. And you can look that up on our website too. And if you're interested, you can join. We only meet quarterly. It is not a huge ask, but we're going to be working on some very exciting stuff this year. Our mission at Lifespan Respite is also to provide respite services for unpaid family caregivers. These would be caregivers of any individual of any age with any sort of disability or condition that requires them to have more than the average care. For example, could be an elderly and frail parent. It could be a child with complex medical needs. It could be a young self-advocate who's maybe not even still living at home, but the parents are out, taking care of that individual when that is needed. So respite care, if you're not familiar with the concept, is the capacity for a caregiver in a family situation to be able to take a break while their loved one is being taken care of, or alternatively, attending a program or an activity that they are safe at, that is suitable for them, and allows the parent to get some time off from that sort of constant watchfulness that's needed in some situations. And respite care is not free, although this is one of the many things that I think would be awesome, just like free childcare. Just saying. And so because it's not free, and because especially in-home respite care, when somebody comes in to watch and take care of somebody who has some sort of disability, it's getting more and more and more expensive. And if medical delegation is involved, it can end up being, well, upwards of $50 an hour. So that's kind of like really scary for people. We are fortunate in getting grants. We have several different grant streams that are coming through. Our main source of funding is through the state. We have some temporary exciting grants this year, which I'll talk about. And then we pass that money on pretty much directly because, it's separate from personnel costs or office costs or things like that. We get this pot and it's called vouchers. So the voucher pays for respite care. And in our program, due to Washington State's particular situation, we have to do the voucher program a certain way. So first, I'm going to show you our page with the voucher program information on it. We have many different types of respite providers signed up with us. In-home, recreation, both day camps and overnight camps. Sometimes they're the same camp. Day services, we don't have enough of those. Education or classes, there are some, and many of those have like a therapeutic twist to them. For example, equine therapy is really popular. We also have nature day camps and things like that. Family retreats. 24-hour care, although I'll tell you, if you want that, a family is gonna blow through that voucher pretty darn quickly, because $50 an hour times 24, that's rough. But every little bit helps. So in order to qualify for a voucher, you must not get paid to be a caregiver. You can't be part of any program that is paying you to take care of your family member. Okay, whether that's public money or private money. And you have to provide 40 or more hours of care a week on average. If you are a parent, that is a given. Parenting is 24/7 while your kids are at home. You have to live in Washington State. You have to not be able to afford respite care on your own. And you can't currently be receiving respite services from any other agency or program, public or private. Having a family member come in to help out, that doesn't count. We don't worry about that. What is unique, I have found, amongst many of the lifespan programs in this country, is that this is what is called self-reported data. We don't ask for any proof. No documentation, no diagnosis for the person who is being taken care of, no need to prove your income or, show your pay stub or your income tax returns. Nothing. You just apply. And the only thing we double check is that you're not receiving services through traditional Medicaid or from a DDA waiver. And that too is merely self-reported. We have to be able to tell these agencies that, yes, we asked, and we asked twice, so that people, again, in the time I've been working for this program, we have only had one caregiver try to game the system. And it was very kind of sad, but for everyone who tries that, then there's somebody else in real need that isn't going to get a voucher. So we stick with that. We have an online voucher form, which is accessible right from the website. If someone isn't computer literate or needs help filling out the form, they can call us and we will walk them through and fill it out ourselves on their behalf. And it's an electronic signature, so there's no additional technology beyond your smartphone or your laptop or whatever. We also accept what's called authorized representatives. If someone from an agency or a social service or medical provider's office wants to sit down with the family and help them fill it out, they can sign in as an authorized representative, and we will also work with that person to help the family receive not just respite care, but make sure they're getting as much of a wraparound as we can help them with. So that's the how. There any questions about the process so far? I'm not being able to see the whole screen. I'm going to remove myself from the spotlight so I can see people.
I had a parent calling. She had cancer treatment and she was so worried about what was going to happen while she was at the hospital. And it was a couple of years ago. And now I feel bad because I didn't know about this service to recommend it to her. Should I feel bad or is it new?
It isn't new, but and actually we've helped families, and I can personally remember 3 different caregivers who were in exactly that situation, that in 2 cases we were able to help, with a voucher. That was sort of expedited. Normally it's first in, first served kind of thing. But when somebody is facing surgery, it's a little bit more, we take, if there's urgency, we try to do what we can, depending on our funding levels. We did have one situation where we were not able to help the parent because she had so many concerns about the behavior of her child. And so she eventually decided not to go this particular route, but have family come in from out of state. But yeah, it's funny, we are drowning in applicants and yet people still don't know about us. So don't feel bad, just remember for next time.
But
that
you are a link on my website now. I think I'd found out about it from Colleen Bradley at one of our other things, and she was
yeah,
talking
Colleen
about it.
works with me.
Yeah.
She does most of the contact with parents and providers right now. And I have, as the program director, I'm doing more work with the state coalition, but to be honest, my heart's still really in the one-to-one caregiver work.
I work for a company that provides day services. Um,
Oh,
so should I be, and
could
then
you
I
put
should,
that in the chat?
well,
And
Kitsap County has 3, 2 on Bainbridge, 1 in Bremerton.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
We're
And
unique.
And Malia, I was gonna say, we use Lifespan Respite for Easter Seals Camp Stand By Me. Barb,
Oh,
all
yeah.
of you were very, very helpful. But yeah, we had a number of campers come through on that.
I thought your name sounded familiar,
Yeah,
Angela.
nice to see you again.
We've emailed.
Yep.
So if you, we never have enough day service programs, so I will send Colleen out. Helpfully, she brings our providers on board, so that's just any leads on that, very special. Okay, so one of the things with Washington State is that there are certain training requirements for certain types of programs like in-home care. They often advertise themselves as senior services, although many also work with people younger than that. Because of that, and because of insurance liability situations, we are limited to contracting with agencies and programs and organizations. We cannot contract with individuals. So our provider list is all things like that. And if you get a voucher, you can use the registry to pick out the provider you want to work with. And I'll show you how the registry works in a minute. But the cool thing about it is every single organization on the registry has validated that they've background checked their people, that they have insurance coverage, liability coverage, transportation coverage, whatever, and that they've met those standards for training. This is not to say that since we don't personally check them, they can get in trouble with the state if they lie on the contract, but sometimes we will get individual providers that may have had the training but might have slept through it, but not in general it's been very, very good. And so the respite providers, which are under current registered providers on the page, the cool thing is you don't need to have a voucher to use any of these services. They're all publicly known organizations. And but if you are looking for a provider, a respite provider, or even a summer camp for your kids, or some kind of program, educational or therapeutic program, you can search this list and contact the people yourself. It's already done some of the work in terms of finding, validated, reputable organizations. So here we are on the provider page. And there's a little bit of text up here that tells you how to use it. We have the counties that a provider serves, the type of respite they offer, the ages, the populations or disabilities and conditions served, and the types of a little bit more detail on respite services. So if you expand this, you get a list of counties. Let's look at, let's say, we'll look at King County. And we'll say that we're looking for a recreational program for children. And then as we scroll down, we'll see that there are a number of agencies and programs listed. There's Easter Seals. Empowering Strides, that's a equine therapy. Hopeful Hands, another equine therapy. They're actually located in Thurston. You would have to drive over. The Mini Mountain Sports Center. Music Works Northwest. That's another one of the programs where your child can work with instrumental or vocal stuff. It's partly therapeutic and partly music training. An Ocean Park Retreat Center. They're popular for their kite weekend, which is a family camping experience. And a biggie, the We Rock the Spectrum Federal Way is a gym. And they do week-long camps. It can be drop-in. When we give people vouchers and they want to use it there, they can sign up for something like almost 100 sessions for the cost of the voucher and just use it anytime they want. So that's pretty cool. Any question about the providers? Oh, I almost forgot a really important bit. If people are unable to find a provider with availability, which so happens, if they are unable to find a provider that really suits the individual that they're taking care of, if they're already involved in a program and it's expensive and they could really use the help paying for it and use it for respite, we will reach out to that provider or program and we will invite them to come on board. There is some paperwork. It is of no cost to the provider or program. And in fact, they will get sort of like an honorarium administrative reimbursement of 10% of the voucher from us, up to $100. A lot of agencies won't take it. They feel the money should all go to the families, but it's there if they want it. Questions about providers, how we find them, who they are, what they do?
There is a question in the chat. It's not about providers, but Emily would like to know, how long is the wait list?
Well, we had almost no funding last year. So the wait list is pretty substantial. We are at this point, however, this year we have 3 funding streams. And as a result, we are making awards as fast as we can. You see, we don't just make the award and then turn the caregiver loose. For every award, we provide one-to-one support from us on the staff, all 2 of us, to help them use their voucher and, find good respite. So maybe we're making a total of 20 to 30 awards a month. And at this rate, somebody who's just applying right now might wait 6 months. This is for planned respite. This is not emergency respite. If you have an urgently upcoming situation, as I mentioned before, you know, you've got surgery. It's again not an emergency, not the sort of thing where you end up in the ER and they say, we're admitting you. But something that you need to have done fairly soon, like cancer treatment, or you know, something that's going to put you down. Then we'll see what we can do on a case-by-case basis. So families can apply, and they can also call us. They can use the PAVE helpline to contact us, and that happens a lot. So there are many ways that families can reach us. We have our number is on here, and we have our contact. People can just email us or phone us. There's like no contact form or any hoops like that. So that's how it works. I wish we didn't have a wait list. The only time we have never had a wait list was during COVID, because nobody wanted to use respite. But right now, I will say that if you, considering that you all are involved in some way on, you know, with neurodivergency, with, you know, people who are either have or are taking care of, or who are part of a family of people who have neurodivergency, who are neurodivergent, I should say. Right now, the funding streams are wide open. We were really, really fortunate to receive 2 grants from the Dan Thompson Memorial Fund, which is being administered by DDA. It's not their money. It's money that came from the state. It was basically leftover federal COVID money. And they added it to this fund, and they put out, you know, make up your own grant and apply, and we'll see if we can fund you. And we asked for a ton of money for straightforward vouchers for families whose loved one is an individual with a developmental and or intellectual disability, but who is not receiving any kind of DDA services. That was DDA's requirement. And as you all know, that's a lot of people. Or they may, you know, they may already have been qualified. They're just on the no paid services list and unlikely to get off it. So we have voucher awards for families like that. And with every family that we tap into this fund, that means that our primary fund is free up for that kind of family or another kind of family. So it's been a blessing. And then quite exciting, and speaking of camps and Easter sales, Angela, we are partnering with 2 of our camps this year, Camp Bosite and Camp Stand By Me, to offer in the upcoming school year family retreat weekends. So families can get a family voucher to go to like a long weekend camp, and it will be at one of these 2 sites, depending on space at each camp, basically, because, you know, they offer many similar kinds of services. And it means that the parent, you know, if you have 2 parental people, they can go, or grandma and somebody else, and the person that is called the care recipient can go, the camper, and maybe a sibling or two. And in some cases, if there's enough need or enough money, we'll even, pay gas.
Wow.
So yeah, it's pretty special. And the idea is it's going to happen during the school year. So we're
Yeah.
very excited about this. This is it's a complete pilot program, and we are hoping that we'll be able to keep doing it even after this pot of money goes away, because, hey, we could apply for the money again, or we could.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So,
Family
yes.
retreats were one of the best things we had, but we could only afford one a year. So that's really incredible. I'm excited that both those camps are involved.
Yes. Yes. And it's like it's kind of like the family camp version of, Club Med. You just show up and everything happens for you. So that's pretty cool. So anyway, that's kind of like a quickie overview of the Lifespan Respite Voucher program. Many times people don't know enough to like have, like the nitty-gritty questions, but I'm available. I'm going to go into the chat and drop my direct email. Okay.
And I think there's a question for you in the chat too.
I will get, let me just, okay, where's the wait list? Who else had a question?
Is it-
Okay, Kelly is asking, had a family that had an emergency multidisciplinary, mom is due to have a baby soon. Is Kelly. Yeah. No, I doubt it. We usually look for situations where somebody is going to be in the hospital. I regret that we have to be sort of. The difficulty is that everybody who comes to us is coming to us more because a lot of people come at the last minute and they expect the money, I just have to apply to get the money. And it really, really doesn't work like that. People aren't given a full package of information. Okay, they're not told, there's going to be a wait list, even if it's not as long as some programs. There's going to be, you're going to have to plan it ahead. You're going to have to use the providers that are in our network, or give us time to sign up the provider that you prefer to use. So most people really, I feel for the mom. She can certainly apply. She might find that it's more valuable to have the respite a little further down the road. Yes, having a newborn really takes it out of you. You don't sleep, so and so on. But I just tell everybody, apply. You are not going to get it if you're not on the list. No, I wish I could.
What about what is how, if somebody gets approved for a voucher, how long do they have to use it?
Well, that's a good point. For many situations, they are asked to use the voucher within 90 days. This is the sort of default position. The reality is that we have so many programs that are recreational or camps that happen in the summertime, or going to be only available in the future, the next available slot at an equine therapy place. In a case like that, we just tell the person, we're holding this voucher for you. Give us proof that you've signed up, copy of your registration or what have you. And they use it when it's needed. So, for if somebody wants to apply and they want to schedule something, like, for example, they would like somebody to be with their elderly parent at night for 4 days while they go on a family vacation. Again, we would schedule it to start about when that happens, and so that, they weren't cramped into that feature. But the default position is 90 days. That's because what we find is people just let it sit. They don't get on the horn and get themselves signed up with a program, and before they know it, 3 months has gone by. Some state programs give people money for and they give them in an entire year. Well, the downside of that, and this is kind of political, but you guys can figure this out. Monies that don't get spent in a respite program that get turned back in to the grant people, they do not get reused as grants. They go back into general funds to Congress. And the next time the budget is worked up, they'll say, oh, this department didn't use all their funding. Apparently, they don't need that much. And that has happened to some programs put out by the Administration on Community Living. And so Administration on Community Living really wants the money spent. I don't know how to put it more clearly, but so you can get extensions to try to use up the money, but you really have to use up the money. They don't want to see it back there, and they don't want it sitting for a year and then find out that it didn't get used. So that's the story of the 90 days. And Kelly says that she's going to explain that it could be something for future use. And I feel bad. Being a new mom, it's very hard. Now, I was going to put something in the chat, and now I forget. Anybody remember what I said I was going to do, Cindy?
I think it was your contact information, just how to
thank
get a hold of you.
Yeah,
Your
yes.
email.
It's Friday.
I won't interrupt you until you're done, but I have a question. So I went
Yes,
to
go ahead.
our website, the Camp Standby website for the family retreats, and it doesn't have very much information about. It just says prices TBD,
That
dates and times TBD.
That isn't going to be public on the website. People will
Okay.
be applying. I will be putting out an announcement after we get the final contract signed with the camps. And then we will put out invitations. They will go out to everyone who has applied with us.
I see.
There is absolutely no way. We'll probably put it out on social media. But the fact is that there's no way that if we make it, public, and it isn't for the camps to advertise. This is a private event, as it were.
So if a family said, oh, I can't pay, but it sounds interesting, then he would say, oh, there's this program you could apply to.
Yes, they apply before the camps. Yeah, and I think almost all the camps that contract with us, there aren't that many that do family retreats, but there are a lot of camps, and we have a blog post on the website with listings of all the camps, and many of them are free.
Oh.
So, there
like
is
Camp
that.
Prime Time.
Yeah, so, there are free options like Campo site, also. The limitations for for the family retreats is mostly that, staffing and housing for the families. And, there's only so many bunk beds. So, and the staffing levels are very high because that's what they're designed for. They're designed to be staffed with trained, really professionals that come in, nurse is available and all that stuff. But it's a good question because, the family weekends the registrations are going to be through the camps. In other words, but families are going to have to, we're going to coordinate. So a family will have to apply with us and be qualified for the DDA requirements for the voucher program. So the DDA requirements being you would normally qualify for DDA services, but we just don't have the money to give you. That's the qualification.
Mm.
You have an intellectual or a developmental disability, your child has it, your brother has it, whatever, and you're not receiving services. Those are the filters for the summer, for the camps.